In a sunny meadow lived Finnegan the Fox, famous for his clever tricks and playful spirit. His best friend was Stella the Stork, tall and graceful, with a long beak perfect for fishing. Despite their differences, they shared laughter, stories, and adventures every day. One morning, Finnegan had a mischievous idea for a prank. He invited Stella to his den for a special dinner, promising his famous soup. Stella, excited and trusting, happily accepted the invitation. She looked forward to a wonderful meal with her dearest friend. As the sun dipped below the trees and the forest glowed with the soft light of dusk, Stella the Stork followed her nose to Finnegan the Fox's den. The air was filled with the mouth-watering aroma of homemade soup, drifting through the woods and making all the animals curious. Stella, feeling both excited and grateful for the invitation, arrived at the cozy den, eager to share a warm meal with her friend. Finnegan greeted Stella with a big, friendly grin and invited her to sit at his rustic wooden table. He then brought out 2 steaming plates of soup, but instead of bowls, he used very flat plates, which looked a bit odd for soup. Stella was puzzled, but she didn't want to seem rude, so she smiled and thanked Finnegan for his hospitality. Finnegan, with his short snout, lapped up his soup with ease, slurping happily and making satisfied noises. But poor Stella, with her long, slender beak, found it impossible to pick up even a single drop from the flat plate. She tried tilting her head and poking at the soup, but it just wouldn't work. Stella pecked and tapped at the plate, hoping to get a taste, but her beak just slid across the surface. Meanwhile, Finnegan finished every last bit of his soup, licking his plate clean and looking quite pleased with himself. Finnegan pretended not to notice Stella's struggle, making light jokes about her appetite and asking if she wasn't hungry tonight. He chuckled to himself, clearly amused by his little trick, while Stella tried to laugh along, though she felt a bit embarrassed. Stella, always polite and wanting to be a good guest, forced a weak smile and thanked Finnegan for the meal, even though her stomach was still rumbling. She didn't want to hurt her friend's feelings, but she couldn't help feeling disappointed and left out. As the evening grew darker, Stella quietly excused herself and left Finnegan's den, her wings drooping and her heart a little heavy. She walked home through the moonlit forest, feeling both hungry and a bit hurt by her friend's clever trick. Back inside his cozy den, Finnegan the Fox leaned back with a smug smile, feeling quite pleased with his cleverness and the success of his silly soup surprise. That night, as the moonlight streamed through her window, Stella the Stork sat quietly, deep in thought. She replayed the events of the day in her mind, remembering how Finnegan the Fox had tricked her and left her hungry. Stella knew she had to teach Finnegan a lesson, but she wanted to do it in a way that was clever and fair. As she gazed out into the starry sky, an idea suddenly sparked in her mind, a plan that would help Finnegan understand how she had felt. The next morning, Stella greeted Finnegan with a warm smile and invited him to her cozy nest for dinner, promising a meal he would never forget. Finnegan, always eager for a tasty treat, was thrilled by the invitation. He had no idea that Stella had something special planned for him. He arrived at her nest, his tail wagging and his eyes wide with anticipation, completely unsuspecting of what was to come. When it was time for dinner, Stella brought out 2 tall, narrow jars filled with delicious-smelling fish stew. The aroma filled the air, making Finnegan's mouth water. But as he tried to eat, he quickly discovered a problem. His short snout couldn't reach the food inside the jars no matter how hard he tried. He pawed at the jar, sniffed around, and even tried tipping it over, but nothing worked. Meanwhile, Stella dipped her long beak into the jar with ease, enjoying every bite of the savory stew. She glanced at Finnegan, who was growing more frustrated and embarrassed by the minute. The more Stella ate, the hungrier Finnegan felt, and he began to realize that this meal was not as simple as he had expected. As Finnegan sat there, his stomach rumbling and his cheeks turning red, he finally understood how Stella must have felt the night before when he had played his trick on her. The lesson was clear. Sometimes a clever comeback is the best way to teach someone empathy. Finnegan's face turned red as he watched Stella eat. He understood now that his prank had been unkind. Stella looked at him gently, not gloating, but letting the lesson speak for itself. Finnegan apologized, admitting his trick was mean and asking for forgiveness. Stella forgave him, reminding him that true friends are kind and thoughtful. The two promised to treat each other with respect from then on. Their friendship grew stronger, built on understanding and care. From that day forward, Finnegan the Fox made a promise to himself. He decided he would never play a mean trick on anyone again, no matter how tempting it might be. The lesson he learned from his experience with Stella the Stork stayed with him, reminding him that kindness is always the better choice. Finnegan realized that making others feel left out or embarrassed was not as fun as he once thought. Instead, he wanted to be a friend that others could trust and rely on. From then on, he and Stella shared many more meals together, always making sure that everyone at the table could enjoy the food, no matter what shape or size their beak or mouth might be. They invited other animal friends to join them, and their gatherings became a place where everyone felt welcome and included. The meals were filled with laughter, stories, and delicious food that everyone could share. Their laughter was shared, never at each other's expense. Instead of making jokes that hurt, they found joy in making each other smile and feel good. The animals learned that it's much more fun to laugh together than to laugh at someone else. Their friendship grew stronger with every meal and every kind word. The story of the fox and the stork reminds us all to treat others as we wish to be treated ourselves. When we show respect and understanding, we help build a world where everyone feels valued. It's a lesson that's important for both children and adults, and one that can make every community a happier place. If you play a mean trick, don't be surprised if it comes back to you. Sometimes, the best way to understand how someone else feels is to walk a mile in their shoes, or in this case, to try eating from a tall, narrow jar. Finnegan learned that lesson the hard way, but he was grateful for the chance to make things right. True friendship is built on kindness, understanding, and respect, not on cleverness at someone else's cost. When we care for each other and look out for our friends, we create bonds that last a lifetime. Finnegan and Stella showed everyone that forgiveness and kindness can turn even a tricky situation into a happy ending. And that's the best recipe for a happy ending. One where everyone is included, everyone is smiling, and every friend is cherished.